Dua is never wasted in the sight of Allah. This is one of the most comforting truths a believer can hold on to during difficult times. When life becomes heavy, when the heart feels tired, and when doors seem closed from every direction, many people begin to wonder whether their prayers are reaching Allah at all. They ask, why is nothing changing? Why is my situation still the same? But the reality is that every sincere dua carries value, even when the answer is not immediately visible. Allah does not ignore the one who turns to Him. Every whispered prayer, every tear shed in sujood, every late-night plea made in silence is known to Him completely. Sometimes people think that if they do not receive exactly what they asked for, then their dua has been rejected. But in Islam, dua is never lost. Allah responds in different ways. But sometimes He gives exactly what was asked for. Sometimes He delays it because the timing is not yet right. Sometimes He replaces it with something far better than what was requested. And sometimes He removes a hidden harm that the person never even knew was coming. This means that even when you do not see the result you expected, your dua is still working in ways beyond your understanding. What appears to be silence may actually be protection, mercy, or preparation for something greater. There are moments when a person makes dua for years and still sees no visible answer. This can be emotionally exhausting. The heart begins to weaken, and shaitan whispers thoughts of hopelessness. But this is exactly where faith becomes powerful. Believing in Allah during ease is one thing, but trusting Him during delay is another level of iman. When you continue making dua despite disappointment, you are showing Allah that your trust is not based on quick results, but on certainty in His wisdom. That persistence itself is beloved to Allah. He loves the servant who keeps returning, who keeps asking, who refuses to let go of hope. Many times people look back after years and realize that what they once begged for would have actually harmed them. At that time, they could not understand why Allah delayed or withheld it. But later, they see the wisdom clearly. This is why believers trust Allah's knowledge over their own desires. Human beings see only the present moment, but Allah sees the entire picture, past, present, and future. He knows what your heart wants, but He also knows what your soul needs. Sometimes what feels like rejection is actually divine protection. Even the act of making dua itself is a blessing. Think about it. Allah allowed you to call upon Him. He opened your heart to turn toward Him instead of away from Him. That itself is a sign of mercy. There are people surrounded by problems who never raise their hands to Allah. But when He inspires you to make dua, it means He's inviting you closer. The relationship built through dua is often greater than the thing being asked for. Through repeated prayer, hearts soften, pride breaks, and dependence on Allah grows stronger. Sometimes the real gift is not the answer itself, but the closeness to Allah that develops while waiting. Dua also changes the person making it. A person who constantly turns to Allah becomes spiritually stronger. They begin to realize that people cannot solve everything. Money cannot fix every pain, and worldly solutions have limits. But Allah has no limits. This understanding brings peace. Even before the answer arrives, the believer feels calm because they know their matter is now in the hands of the one who controls all things. That peace is part of the response. Sometimes Allah gives tranquility before He gives the solution. It is important to remember that sincerity matters more than beautiful words. Allah does not need perfect language. He wants honesty. A broken heart speaking simple words with sincerity can be more powerful than long speeches without presence. Even if all you can say is, "Ay Allah, help me," He hears it. He knows what your chest carries even when your tongue cannot explain it. He understands the pain behind your silence. He sees the tears you hide from everyone else. Nothing is hidden from Him. This is why believers should never stop making dua. Even if the world says it is impossible, Allah says be, and it becomes. There is no illness too difficult for Him to heal, no broken relationship too damaged for Him to restore, no financial hardship too deep for Him to ease, and no dream too far for Him to bring close. Human beings measure possibility through logic, but Allah is above all limitations. What seems impossible to you is effortless for Him. Every sincere dua is heard by Allah. This truth removes loneliness from the heart. Sometimes people feel like no one understands what they are carrying. They may smile outside while silently struggling inside. They may be surrounded by people and still feel deeply alone. In those moments, knowing that Allah hears every sincere dua becomes a source of immense comfort. You are never speaking into emptiness. You are speaking to the Lord of the heavens and the earth, the one who created you, knows you and cares for you more than anyone else ever could. Allah hears not only the words you say aloud, but also the prayers hidden inside your chest. There are du'as that never leave the lips because the pain is too deep for words. There are moments when a person simply cries, and that cry itself becomes a dua. Allah understands that language. He hears the trembling in your voice, the silence after heartbreak, and the sigh that comes from exhaustion. He knows what you mean before you even ask. This should fill the believer with confidence and intimacy in worship. Sometimes people stop making dua because they feel ashamed. They think, I've sinned too much. Why would Allah listen to me? But Allah is our Rahman, the most merciful. He is not waiting for perfection before listening to you. In fact, often the one who turns to Him with repentance and humility is closer than the one who feels proud of their worship. Sin should not push you away from Allah. It should bring you back to Him. The door of dua remains open as long as your heart is willing to knock. Sincerity is what gives dua its power. A sincere dua is not just words repeated from habit. It is a heart fully present before Allah. It is asking with need, humility, and certainty. It is believing that Allah can answer even when every worldly sign says otherwise. The Prophet taught believers to ask Allah with certainty of response. This means you do not raise your hands while secretly believing nothing will happen. You ask with hope. You trust that your Lord is capable of changing everything in a moment. There is also beauty in repetition. Some people think if they ask once, they should stop. But repeated dua is not a sign of weak faith. It is a sign of deep reliance. It shows that you recognize only Allah can open the door. The prophets themselves repeated their prayers. They called upon Allah again and again. This teaches us that persistence is beloved. Keep asking, keep returning, keep hoping. Not because Allah did not hear the first time, but because your repeated turning builds your connection with Him. When Allah hears your sincere dua, the answer begins in ways you may not immediately notice. Sometimes He changes circumstances. Sometimes He changes hearts. Sometimes He changes you. A person may ask for a situation to improve, and instead Allah gives them strength to survive it. They may ask for one path, and Allah opens a completely different one that leads to greater peace. The answer may not look the way you expected, but it comes with wisdom. Believers should also remember that hearing is not the same as immediate granting. Just because the answer is delayed does not mean Allah has not heard you. Delay can be mercy. It can be timing. It can be preparation. Imagine receiving something before you were ready for it. It might have become a burden instead of a blessing. Allah gives according to perfect knowledge, not human impatience. What you call late may actually be right on time in Allah's plan. The most beautiful part of sincere dua is that it strengthens the bond between servant and creator. In a world where many relationships disappoint, Allah remains constant. People may misunderstand you, leave you, or fail you, but Allah never turns away from a sincere heart. Every time you raise your hands, you are reminding yourself where true dependence belongs. You are declaring that your hope is not in people, but in the one above all people. So never underestimate your dua. Never think your prayer is too small, your voice too weak, or yours too weak, or your problem too complicated. Allah hears every sincere dua. He hears the prayer made in the darkness of night, the whisper between tears and the hope hidden behind tired eyes. Keep asking, keep believing, keep trusting. The one who plays the dua in your heart is fully capable of bringing the answer. The perfect time delay does not mean denial. This is a lesson many believers struggle to accept because human nature wants quick results. When we ask Allah for something deeply important, healing, marriage, rizq, peace, guidance, relief from pain, we often expect an answer soon. When days turn into months and months into years, the heart begins to feel heavy. Questions arise quietly inside. Why is my dua still unanswered? Did Allah reject me? Am I being ignored? But delay is not rejection. Delay is often part of Allah's wisdom. And what feels like silence may actually be divine preparation. People often judge Allah's response based on time, but Allah does not operate according to human impatience. We live in moments, but Allah sees the full journey. We see one chapter while He sees the entire story. Something you are asking for today may not be good for you right now, even if it seems perfect in your eyes. Allah may be protecting you from harm you cannot see. He may be preparing your heart, your character, or your circumstances before granting what you seek. If he gave it too early, it might become a burden instead of a blessing. Sometimes delay teaches lessons that instant answers never could. Waiting develops sabor. It builds tawakkul. It removes pride and teaches dependence on Allah. A person who gets everything immediately may never fully learn surrender. But the one who waits with faith discovers a deeper relationship with Allah. In the waiting, the heart learns to trust beyond what the eyes can see. This trust is precious. It transforms worship from routine into sincerity. Think of the stories of the prophets. Many of them waited years for relief. Prophet Zakaria made dua for a child in old age. Prophet Yaqub waited in deep sorrow for Yusuf. Prophet Ayub endured prolonged illness and hardship. The delays were not signs of rejection. They were part of a divine plan filled with wisdom. If the best of creation experienced waiting, then delay in our own lives should not make us assume abandonment. It should remind us that patience is often the road to miracles. Shaitan uses delay as a weapon against believers. He whispers hopelessness. He says, if Allah wanted to answer you, it would have happened by now. These thoughts are dangerous because they weaken trust. The believer must fight this by remembering who Allah is. Allah is Al-Hakim, the most wise. His timing is never random. What seems late to you is perfectly timed in His knowledge. Sometimes the greatest blessings arrive after the hardest waiting because the heart has become ready to receive them. There are also prayers that are answered differently than expected. You may ask for one specific job, but Allah closes that door and opens a better one later. You may pray for a certain person, but Allah protects you by removing them from your life. At first, it feels painful. It feels like denial. But later, when clarity comes, you realize it was mercy. Many people only understand Allah's wisdom in hindsight. They look back and thank Him for the things He did not give them. Delay also reveals sincerity. Do you worship Allah only when life moves according to your plan, or do you trust Him even when you do not understand? True faith appears in uncertainty. Continuing to pray after disappointment is one of the strongest signs of a man. It means your relationship with Allah is not based only on outcomes, but on conviction that He knows best. A delayed dua is not a dead deer. It is still alive in the hands of Allah. Every tear, every prayer after Fajr, every whispered request in Tahajjud is being recorded. Nothing is lost. Allah hears, Allah knows, and Allah responds in the best way. Sometimes the answer is waiting for the perfect moment, the moment that will make you look back and say, and now I understand why it had to happen this way. This is why believers must guard themselves from giving up. The greatest tragedy is not delayed relief, but abandoning due too soon. Imagine standing at the door of your breakthrough and walking away because you thought nothing was happening. Sometimes the final prayer before relief is the one made with the most exhausted heart. Sometimes the answer is closest when hope feels weakest. Delay does not mean denial. It often means your story is still being written by the most merciful. Allah answers at the perfect time. This truth brings peace to a restless heart. Human beings are attached to urgency. We want things now. We believe immediate answers are better because we see our present pain so clearly. But Allah sees beyond today. He knows the timing of every blessing, every test, every opening, and every closed door. His wisdom is complete while ours is limited. This is why what feels delayed to us is often perfectly placed by Him. Timing changes everything. The same blessing given too early can become harmful, and the same blessing given at the right moment can transform a life beautifully. Imagine receiving wealth before maturity. It might lead to arrogance instead of gratitude. Imagine entering a relationship before emotional readiness. It might bring pain instead of peace. Imagine success before spiritual grounding. It might pull a person away from Allah instead of closer. Allah knows not only what you need, but when you need it. Many people pray for immediate relief because they are tired, and Allah understands that exhaustion. But sometimes He delays not to punish, but to protect. He sees what is hidden. He knows the unseen details of people, places, and outcomes. A person may cry because a door closed, while Allah closed it to save them from future heartbreak. Another may beg for something specific, while Allah prepares something greater they cannot yet imagine. Perfect timing often feels confusing in the present, but beautiful in reflection. There is a special kind of faith required to trust divine timing. It means believing that Allah's not yet is still mercy. It means refusing to panic when life does not follow your schedule. It means understanding that your clock and Allah's wisdom are not the same. This trust is difficult, especially when everyone around you seems to be moving ahead, getting married, succeeding, healing, finding peace, while you feel stuck. But comparison is dangerous because every soul has a different journey written by Allah. Sometimes Allah delays your answer because He wants you closer to Him. If every dua were answered instantly, many people would stop calling upon Him. But through waiting, the servant learns constant dependence. Tahajjud becomes regular. Sujood becomes deeper. Tears become honest. The relationship with Allah becomes stronger. In this sense, the waiting itself is part of the gift. What begins as a request for something worldly becomes a path towards spiritual closeness. Allah's perfect timing is often seen most clearly in hindsight. People look back at painful seasons and realize, if I had gotten what I wanted then, it would have ruined me. They see how one delay saved them from disaster, how one unanswered prayer led them to something far better, how one painful waiting period shaped their character. At the time, they thought Allah was withholding. Later, they realized He was guiding. The believer learns to say, if it is good for me, let it come. If it is not, keep it away, even if my heart wants it. This is not weakness, it is deep trust. It is surrender to the knowledge of the one who knows all things. It means believing that Allah's plan is not only bigger than your own, but kinder than your own. Perfect timing also reminds us that relief can come suddenly. Years of waiting can be changed in one night. A single dua in tahajjud can open what seemed permanently closed. One phone call, one opportunity, one moment of divine mercy can shift everything. Allah does not need long processes to change your life. He can create ease from hardship instantly. This is why believers never lose hope. Delay may be long, but the answer can arrive in a moment. When Allah answers at the perfect time, the blessing feels different. It comes with clarity, peace, and barakah. You realize why earlier attempts failed. You understand why patience was necessary. And your gratitude becomes deeper because you know what it cost to wait. Quick blessings may be appreciated, but blessings that arrive after sincere sabr often leave a permanent mark on the soul. Trusting Allah's timing does not mean becoming passive. It means continuing to make dua, taking halal steps, improving yourself, and leaving the result to Him. It means effort without desperation, hope without control, faith without conditions. You keep walking, but your heart remains surrendered. Allah answers at the perfect time. Not a moment too early, not a moment too late. His timing is never careless. It is precise, wise, and full of mercy. Even when your heart cannot understand it yet, trust that the one who controls time knows exactly when your breakthrough should arrive. Keep asking even when nothing changes. This is one of the hardest tests of faith because people naturally connect effort with visible results. When someone makes dua repeatedly and sees no immediate improvement, the heart can grow tired. You pray for healing, but the illness remains. You ask for financial ease, but the bills continue. You beg for peace in your home, but the tension still exists. In those moments, it becomes easy to assume that your prayers are not working, but faith teaches something deeper. Your responsibility is to ask, and Allah's responsibility is to answer in the way and time He knows is best. Persistence in dua is not weakness, it is strength. It shows that you still believe Allah is capable, even when circumstances look unchanged. It means you refuse to let disappointment turn into distance from Allah. Many people only pray intensely at the beginning of hardship, but as time passes, their passion weakens. They become silent, not because the pain is gone, but because they are afraid of hoping again. Yet the believer understands that every return to Allah is valuable. Repeated dua is not bothering Allah, it is beloved to Him. He loves the servant who keeps knocking at His door. Sometimes the greatest transformation is happening inside you before it happens around you. Outwardly, nothing seems different, but inwardly, your heart is changing. You are becoming more patient, more sincere, more dependent on Allah. Your pride is softening. Your trust is growing. You are learning to rely on Allah rather than your own control. This inner change is often the first answer to dua. People usually focus only on external outcomes, but Allah may first be preparing the soul before changing the situation. There are prayers that seem unanswered for years, yet they shape an entire life. A person may keep asking for guidance and over time become more conscious of Allah. Another may ask for relief from sadness and gradually develop a stronger relationship with the Quran. Sometimes the answer does not arrive as one dramatic event, but as a slow transformation. Looking back, they realize Allah was answering all along, just not in the form they expected. Shaitan works hard during seasons of waiting. He whispers that there is no point in continuing. He says, "You have asked too much. If it were going to happen, it would have happened already." These whispers are dangerous because they attack hope. The believer must respond by remembering Allah's mercy and power. Allah is never tired of hearing your voice. Human beings may become annoyed by repeated requests, but Allah loves when His servant continues to ask. Your persistence is a sign of trust, and trust is an act of worship. There is also wisdom in continuing dua even when the answer seems delayed, because dua itself protects the heart from despair. A person who still prays still has hope. The moment someone stops making dua completely, hopelessness begins to settle. Dua keeps the heart connected to possibility. It reminds you that no matter how impossible things appear, Allah can still change everything. As long as you are making dua, you are refusing to surrender to darkness. Sometimes nothing changes because Allah is teaching you to worship Him for who He is, not only for what He gives. This is a powerful level of sincerity. It means your dua is not a transaction but a relationship. You continue turning to Him because He is your Lord, because He is worthy of worship, because your heart belongs with Him. Even if the answer takes time, the connection itself becomes priceless. But it's also important to keep asking with certainty, not mechanical repetition. Dua should come from a present heart. Speak honestly. Cry if needed. Tell Allah your fears, your confusion, your exhaustion. He already knows, but He loves your turning toward Him. There is no perfect formula required. Sometimes the most powerful dua is the simplest one spoken from a broken heart. Ya Allah, I cannot carry this alone. Never underestimate one sincere moment. A person may pray for years, and then one night in tahajjud with complete sincerity and surrender, the door opens. Not because Allah only heard that one prayer, but because every previous dua was building toward that moment. Every tear mattered. Every repeated request mattered. Nothing was wasted. Keep asking even when nothing changes, because visible silence does not mean spiritual emptiness. Allah may be arranging things beyond your sight. He may be removing obstacles you never knew existed. He may be preparing people, circumstances, or your own heart for what is coming. What feels like stillness may actually be movement in the unseen. Many breakthroughs happen suddenly after long periods of waiting. This is why believers never give up too early. The sunrise does not come gradually to the eyes. It feels dark until suddenly light appears. In the same way, your relief may seem absent until the moment Allah says it is time. Then what looked impossible becomes reality. A closed door opens, a painful chapter ends, a prayer once whispered in tears becomes a visible blessing. Keep asking because your Lord is listening. Keep asking because your story is not over. Keep asking because miracles belong to Allah. Keep asking because the delay may be the very path that leads you closer to Him. And keep asking because sometimes the answer is already on its way while you are still wondering if your voice has been heard. Patience in dua is a form of worship. Many people think worship is only found in visible acts like prayer, fasting, or charity. But patience while waiting for Allah's answer is also a deep act of devotion. It is not passive waiting, it is active trust. It is choosing faith over frustration, hope over despair, and surrender over control. When a believer continues making dua without bitterness, even in pain, they are worshipping Allah through sabr. Patience in dua means you continue turning to Allah even when the answer is delayed. It means your heart does not become arrogant by demanding immediate results, nor does it become hopeless by assuming rejection. Instead, it remains steady. You keep praying, keep trusting, and keep believing that Allah knows what you do not. This patience is powerful because it reflects true submission. You are saying, Ya Allah, I want this, but I trust your wisdom more than my urgency. You see, boring dua is often tested most when life feels unfair. You see others receiving what you have prayed for. You watch people move forward while you feel left behind. It can be painful to witness someone else living the answer to the dua you are still waiting on. In those moments, patience becomes an act of spiritual discipline. You choose not to compare. You choose not to let jealousy poison your heart. You remind yourself that Allah writes every story differently and that your timing is in His perfect hands. Patience does not mean pretending the pain is not there. Islam does not ask you to be emotionless. You can cry, feel tired, and still be patient. Prophet Yaqub wept for Yusuf, yet he remained patient. Patience is not the absence of sadness. It is refusing to let sadness pull you away from Allah. It is crying while still believing. It is hurting while still hoping. One of the beautiful things about patience in dua is that it increases reward even before the answer arrives. Every moment of sincere waiting is seen by Allah. Every prayer made after disappointment, every tahajjud despite exhaustion, every act of worship while carrying hidden pain is recorded. The believer is not empty-handed during the wait. They are collecting reward, growing spiritually, and becoming stronger in faith. Patience also protects the heart from rash decisions. When people become desperate, they may seek solutions in places that displease Allah. They may rush into harmful relationships, dishonest money, or compromises that damage their deen. Sabr keeps a person grounded. It reminds them that no blessing is worth losing Allah's pleasure. Waiting in halal is better than rushing into regret. There is wisdom in why Allah makes some prayers take longer. Long waiting seasons expose what truly lives inside the heart. They reveal whether faith is conditional or sincere. Will you still worship when life is uncertain? Will you still trust when understanding is absent? This is where patience becomes worship. It is not only about receiving the answer, it is about who you become while waiting. Patience in dua also teaches humility. It reminds you that control belongs to Allah alone. No amount of planning can force what Allah has not written, and no obstacle can stop what He has destined. This realization softens the ego. It teaches surrender. Instead of trying to control every outcome, the believer learns to work sincerely and leave results to Allah. Sometimes patience itself becomes the answer. The peace that enters the heart while waiting, the calm trust that replaces panic, the acceptance that grows despite uncertainty. These are gifts. A person may begin by asking Allah to change a situation, and along the way, Allah changes their heart first. That inner peace is a mercy many people overlook. Patience in dua is worship because it proves that your relationship with Allah is deeper than your immediate desires. You are not only turning to Him for quick solutions, you are staying with Him through the silence. You are worshiping Him in the waiting room of life, trusting that every delay has meaning. The believer understands that if Allah asks them to wait, then waiting itself must contain goodness. Perhaps it is purification. Perhaps it is protection. Perhaps it is preparation for something far greater. Whatever it is, patience transforms waiting from frustration into ibadah. So when the answer feels late, do not think your worship has stopped. Your patience is worship. Your trust is worship. Your continued dua is worship. Your refusal to give up is worship. Allah sees every hidden struggle, and the one who waits with sabr is never forgotten.